Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hope you're having a great morning or afternoon. By the time this gets uploaded, it may be a little later. I apologize. I was on a flight home. Didn't get home till late last night, so record in the morning. It's just one of those things. I just didn't have the energy to get a show done last night, so woke up and getting going a little late here today. So before we get into today's episode, I just want to let you know this episode brought to you by Titleist Vokey wedges, and the Vokey Design SM9 wedges are a product of superior handcrafted technology. Each one an instrument of creative control, created from the most advanced materials, engineered to deliver ideal flight and spin, with grinds designed to release your best wedge play possible. There are many ways to make a wedge, but only one way to make a Vokey. Titleist Vokey Design SM9 wedges, superior handcrafted technology. Find yours at Vokey.com today. Let's go ahead and check out the SM9 wedges. And like I said, I was actually on a flight home yesterday, so I didn't get home till I think my plane landed at 8. By the time you wait around for your golf bag to show up and all that stuff, it just I didn't get home till after 9 or something last night, something like that. I don't even remember it, something like that after 9. By the time you get your golf bag, you get on the shuttle to go over to where your car's parked, and then the buses got to drive around, drop everybody off. I was thankfully one of the first, so I didn't have to wait. It was crazy. Like, I've never seen. So I park off site, and the little shuttle drives you over to the Detroit airport, and I've never been on, especially like coming home like later in the day or whatever. I've never been on a bus that was so full. It was crazy. Like I walked. I finally get my bag, everything. I walked down, and you go down this escalator, and you come around, and there's a section where all the parking lots have their shuttles to pick you up, and I saw all these. I saw two shuttles of the company that I was going with drive away, and they looked pretty full. And then there were just tons of people sitting there, like waiting, on the side of the road or side of the pickup area. And I was just like, man, like, are all these waiting for the same place I am? And I saw one guy had the same ticket, that company has, and I'm just like, oh no. So I'm like, God, I hope I can get on like the first one. And waited for a few minutes. Shuttle showed up, and I was thankful to get on that first shuttle. There definitely were some people waiting for the next one. So I got out of there, but thankfully got home on time. I know yesterday the travel stuff was crazy with in the morning flights being canceled or delayed and things like that. I don't even know what happened. By the time I woke up and got packed and all that, I kind of caught on to it late. So unfortunately, I didn't even know what was going on. But thankfully, myself and everybody that I was with got home safely, and it was a great time. So this whole week, I took off Sunday for Carlsbad, the mecca of golf, where every golf company is, and we it was an awesome time. We actually went down and we had 4 GolfWRX members, forum members, over at the TaylorMade Kingdom. And they got to check out the new Stealth 2 stuff, all the Stealth 2 woods, the Stealth HD irons, some putters that we can't talk about yet. We got to wait a couple weeks for those, or about a week for those. But basically, they got to go see everything. Got tour of headquarters and all that. Got kind of the tech presentation of the new products from directly from the engineers there. And it was just, and then we got some golf in. Unfortunately, we didn't. The rainy San Diego season was upon us yesterday, so we got or 2 days ago. So we got a little rain, so we didn't quite get our full round of golf. But the fittings and all that were awesome. The time or the weather then was absolutely perfect. So it was a great week. It really was. If this show here, we're going to basically talk a lot about what goes on one of these trips and all that. A little bit about Stealth 2, since I was able to hit it, but really only on Wednesday or Tuesday I hit it. I didn't get I'm working those days, so I didn't get to do a fitting, but I did hit it on Tuesday on the range. Then we went and played. We got like 8 holes in, so I hit it a good amount there, and I'll give some initial impressions. But I do have a Stealth 2 head here that I will be hitting more and more. here when I get a chance. I'll probably head to the range, probably this week, and hit some more balls with it, and maybe hit it against my my last year's Stealth Plus that I had. So maybe I'll do a little comparison of the two. But it was a great trip for these guys, and so basically, if you've been a member of GolfWRX for a long time, you've probably seen I would say maybe every other year, maybe every once a year, every other year, something like that. We do kind of a member trip where you go to an OEM. Whether we've done one with Callaway, we've done them with TaylorMade, we've done them with a handful of companies, Fujikura, whatever. So we've done them with a handful of brands. And it's basically people who have been around the forums for, a long time, who post a lot, who, it's kind of a cool thing to, in a sense, get rewarded for being a longtime WRX member and an active member, and also kind of a cool thing to show off new product, because usually it's based around something new. We've done a couple TaylorMade ones. I've been on a few of them. We did, I think 2 years ago when the Mill Grind 3s came out, we did a trip down to the Kingdom in Reynolds, down in Atlanta, or down outside of Atlanta, and did a wedge fitting thing down there. So we've done some cool stuff, and it's always fun to see these things. There's a big thread if you go into the GolfWRX forums. There's a huge thread where these 4 members have been kind of posting a lot about their experience and what they've been fit into and things like that. And it'll be really exciting when they get the rest of their clubs, and they have them all and start actually hitting them and stuff like that. It'll be pretty interesting to see what these guys talk about. But yeah, basically it was a trip this time to go and check out the new Stealth 2 woods, hybrids, all that. Members were basically going to get pretty close to a full bag, I think. I don't know about wedges and putters, but they definitely are getting. They got fit for driver, and then I think fit for irons, and then or fit for basically the whole bag, and then also some putters. But again, putters unfortunately we can't talk about for about a week. We got a few days of very cool stuff coming from TaylorMade in the putter category, but we're about a week away from being able to talk about those. But it was, it was a really cool trip. So I flew out Sunday, or everybody flew out Sunday, and got in Sunday kind of afternoon. I was a little earlier than everybody else, but Sunday afternoon, flew in, and we stayed at actually the La Costa Resort in Carlsbad, and which is beautiful, super nice, way nicer than I deserve or anything like that. But stayed there, and then had dinner with with some guys from TaylorMade that night. Excuse me. And then, in the morning on Monday, it was like ready to go, man. 8 a.m. Shuttle came, picked us up, took us over to headquarters, and it was kind of on. So it was pretty cool. Like I said, had dinner that night, and usually dinner lasts for a while because people just telling stories, talking about their life, their game, just people getting introduced and meeting each other and stuff like that. So it was pretty awesome. And then, 8 a.m. Monday morning, we were at TaylorMade headquarters. You go, get checked in. They, you can't just walk into TaylorMade headquarters and just walk in. I mean, you can get into the lobby, but that's about it. And then, got everybody checked in. You get your little, visitors badges. And then it was kind of on. And it was, first thing we did was kind of walk around. These guys got a tour of headquarters and kind of shown a lot of the places that you don't necessarily get to see, which was pretty cool. You walk by, there's a putter lab, a Kiyama putter lab. If you don't remember Kiyama, there was Kiyama putters from TaylorMade a while back. Kiyama is still there, does a ton of tour and prototype work with the putters still. He's still in there. He's got an amazing looking lab. When you look in, it's like this glass. It's all glass in front, and it's got a little putting green and just a really nice looking area that he has to kind of do his thing and customize putters. Anything that's like a tour putter with a different neck or a different sight line or something like that is done in that lab. And then across, right next to it, across the hall, is the area where they do all their tour builds. So all their builds for professionals, and whether it's on to Korn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour, whatever, the tour build section is right across the hall. And again, you can kind of, not as big a glass, but you can see in there, and tons of people working and all that, and just bins full of heads and tons of shafts and racks. I mean, just everything in there. So Pretty cool to see those. They have a brand new kind of a content studio where they do a lot of their content. Like if you saw like the holiday video with Tiger and all those guys, they've got a whole studio there where they now do some stuff in house, but where all their creative content guys like Ollie and all that work. Got to see that. It was super cool. It's got like an insane sound system. They kind of showed it off where they have like this built-in sound system and crazy loud. Like blows your home theater away. Like just blows it away. And it was pretty awesome to see. That's something like that was new to me. I hadn't seen that before. And then just walked around. You kind of saw a little bit of the build area where they do build clubs or assemble clubs in the factory. And then kind of got some to walk around and see a few other things. They've redone if you can get behind the lobby. The main stairwell is just amazing. You walk up and it's just like a huge mural with Rory and Tiger and all these guys on it, and it's just kind of a really cool place. So went in there. All the walls are lined with driver wins with drivers from. Geez, I think it's like I can't remember how far back it went. For sure, M1, M1 on to Stealth was just pictures of whoever won with their what driver and all that was pretty cool. And then we went into this kind of conference room, and it was game time. And these guys, so there's 4 members: Sean, Craig, Kyle, and Clayton. 4 really nice guys, and they kind of walked in, and it was, in a sense, kind of mind-blowing getting to walk in there. I mean, the lobby itself is pretty cool. They didn't have all the Stealth 2 stuff out in the lobby yet. They were kind of waiting for the changeover because it was like Tuesday was the release date. So they had some of it out, but not all of it, and they're kind of waiting to put the rest of it out. So now if you go back, it's all probably Stealth 2 stuff, which is pretty cool. But those guys had to sit through and got wood presentation from Tomo Bystead, who's the head of like wood design. I don't remember his official title, but he's the head of woods, in terms of design and engineering and all that. And then they had Chandler, who is one of the guys for irons, come in and do irons. And then Bill Price came in and did putters. It was a pretty cool day, and just seeing kind of the new tech, it was pretty interesting because I sat through most of it. I was also helping. We did a little cool little video thing with a film crew there, so I was kind of bouncing back and forth. So I didn't see the whole presentation from start to finish from everything, but the driver one was pretty interesting, and the new Stealth 2. It's pretty cool. It's I know I've seen some of the comments on social and all that, and people are just like, oh, it's a Sim 2 that's just repainted, and it's really not. It's pretty amazing that people think that and all that, but it's pretty much a full carbon driver. Like when they said carbon wood with Stealth, and it was mostly the face and the crown. Now you have face, crown, the rear wing, the sole. The only thing that are metal on here is basically the frame around the face that the hosel connects to, and on the plus where the sliding track is. And then the only other part of metal is the rear weight that comes into it. The rest of the head is all carbon. There is no metal in there. There's no metal elsewhere than those 2 pieces. So pretty amazing how much carbon they've added to this thing. Even the rear wing, or the rear kind of red ring around the back that they had, and I know it was kind of something that it was aluminum in Sim 2. That rear ring was done in blue. It was machined aluminum, which was a pretty cool piece. And when I saw the initial photos of this, I figured it was an aluminum ring, much like Sim 2. And it's not. It's all actually a composite piece. It's all carbon, and then, like I said, carbon fiber sole plate on it, and a carbon fiber crown. So after the face, there's pretty much, and then the carbon fiber face. So there's really no titanium much, or there's not too much titanium left on this head anymore. And it was pretty interesting to hear, reasons why and stuff like that. And it was just, weight savings and things like that, and able to take that weight and move it elsewhere. On the Stealth Plus, you've got a 15-gram weight in the back. I think the standard Stealth 2 has like a 26-gram weight, and then I think the Stealth 2 HD has like a 30-gram weight in the back. So, moving a ton of weight back to kind of add some stability. And then the carbon face is still 60 layers, pretty much looks identical. The little white score lines are a little different. They've got like short ones in between the long ones, and so it's a little different than it was in terms of looks, but not much. And then it is a little different the way they, I guess, adjusted. They've thinned out near the toe, thinned out near the heel, some of the carbon layers to kind of stretch the sweet spot, upper to the upper toe and to the lower heel. They've kind of thinned out the edges of the face a little bit, and then it is like 2 grams lighter than the old one. So the old one was like 26 grams. I think this one's like 24 grams. But overall, the biggest thing is just the amount of carbon used in this thing. And the 3 models are all just a little bit different. I don't have the other ones. I think I'll be getting the Stealth 2 Standard and the HD in a little while. I don't have them, but they did give me a plus head to go play with on Tuesday, and then they let me keep it, which was extremely kind of them. So I have it home with me, and like I said, we'll be able to go hit it here on the range and bust out the old full swing monitor and hit some balls. But it was very nice of them. So it is a good looking head. Like I said, I was a fan of Stealth before. I thought it was a really good driver. I played it a lot of last year. I mean, I kind of played a lot of Stealth, and then kind of switched over to TSR when I got fit for that. But Stealth was kind of my gamer driver, and as you guys know, I had one of those days where just hit driver amazing one day, and it was the Stealth head. So I'm a fan of Stealth. Stealth 2 was really good when I did take it out and hit it. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, for this trip, it was pretty cool. They got like a full-blown deep dive into like everything. And it was pretty interesting to see their faces. I think they were kind of shocked at how much info they got, because it was pretty much the same presentation as like us and media and stuff like that get, where I mean they kind of break down all the little different parts and all the changes and everything. I mean, it's not just a little YouTube video that says, hey, here's the big main changes. I mean, they were getting a little bit of everything, or little details on basically every part of the head. So it was pretty cool to see. They got to see the exploded head with all the components and all that, and it was just a pretty interesting time. And I think a lot of shock and awe. Bunch of questions that those guys had that easily answered and all that. So I know in the forums the one question that everybody was like, did the biggest question get answered, which is when's the TP logo coming back? And unfortunately, I don't think any of us asked it. I, am a huge TP fan, TP logo fan. When TaylorMade did the TP, I wish it would come back in some form, but unfortunately, nobody had any. I don't think anybody asked, but nobody had an answer for it. So there was like in one of the displays of the old drivers, like an old R510 TP with the logo hanging out there, and I was just like, I think I told one of the guys, I was like, man, I would really wish they would bring that back. But yeah, so they got the whole tech presentation. Like I said, they went from driver all the way down to irons and even into some putters. Total breakdown from guys who are designing them, who are putting in the work, engineering them. And the biggest takeaway that these guys had, which is one that I think I tell you guys all the time, which is, you see so many comments on social media about like, oh, it's just a Sim 2, or oh, it's just the same driver, or oh, there's no advancement, oh, there's nothing, it's just a paint job. And to be able to see what goes into each head, and I mean, TaylorMade does it. I mean, if it's Callaway, Titleist, whoever, I mean, any of these companies, if you get to sit through one of these presentations and you get to meet the people who are designing these clubs, it is for sure not just taking a head and putting different paint on it. It is the amount of detail that goes into designing these things and how long it takes to get them, ready and ready to get, or ready for prime time, and the things that they have to do to make sure that they can actually produce them at mass quantity, at high quality, and I mean, it's kind of a crazy thing to see. And a lot of these guys walked out of there just kind of mind blown that, yes, it just says Stealth 2, and when you look at it, you may say, oh, it's the same driver, it looks the same. It is far different than the one it replaced. And people sit there and say, oh, the performance isn't that different, whatever. There's advancement to it, and yes, if you were fit into last year's driver and you go get fit into this year's driver, are you going to be blown away by the differences? No. But again, I don't think, or I know, I mean, I've talked to these guys, when they go and market a driver, the marketing team is not expecting a person who bought a Stealth to come really go jump in and buy Stealth 2. You know, there are people who are going to do it, and they're GolfWRXers. Let's be honest. The GolfWRX crew is going to buy the new version of everything because we're just nuts like that, and we want to hit, we want to hit all the new products. But realistically, they're looking at people who have a driver that's 3 to 5 years old, and they will notice a bigger difference that warrants, a possible purchase, where a person who was probably fit into a Stealth is probably not going to be looking to buy a new driver this year. So, for people to say, a driver every year is, dumb or whatever, yeah, you're wrong. You're just flat out wrong, and you may want to jump on that hill and defend it as much as you want, but you're absolutely wrong. And like I said, these guys got to see what went into designing and creating and bringing these heads to market, and they were pretty impressed. Same thing with just impressed with the people who work there, because everyone you meet, who works in the golf industry they're just awesome people. They're so passionate about golf. They love golf like we do. And especially like when you meet like a lot of people on the engineering side, they flat out just want to make a better club. And to hear them talk about it and things like that, and to, understand that, could they make something that's just flat out insane crazy? Like, I think it was Tomo said, he's like, yeah, we could go to some crazy limits with some wild materials and all this stuff, but he's like, if you can't produce it at a price that's a price that's reasonable, which I know people, drivers have climbed a little bit lately, but he's like, if you can't, a $2,000 driver, because it has some crazy wild tech, isn't going to sell. So let's make, we have to kind of use materials that we can use and things that we know will work. And it was just a really interesting topic and conversation that these guys had. The new irons are really cool. They've got the Stealth HD irons, which I know for our audience are not going to, people aren't going to care that much. They're really wide soled, a lot of offset. They're built like hybrids, multi-piece, kind of hollow body, but really hot faces, help get the ball in the air. I got to hit them on the range a little bit. They go straight in the air. They're super easy to launch. But they got that. They also got the kind of demonstration of the P770s, the P790s. I wasn't there for that. I was kind of filming some stuff with our film crew, but I kind of walked in on the end of the Stealth HD and I think 770 product that they were doing there. And again, just kind of mind blowing at the stuff that goes into even a set of irons, and how you're manipulating. You got to design a face and then a body to go with it and fill it with foam, and all these different things have to work harmoniously together in order to make a really good iron. And it was just really cool to sit through that. And then when we were done with all the presentations there, I think we had lunch, brought in these kind of crazy sliders. One of them was like this hot one, and it was hot. But then went to the range, and went across the street, because if you're at TaylorMade headquarters, across the street is the Kingdom, and walking across the street, because unfortunately Supercart, if anybody's familiar with the Kingdom and been there, they've got this like crazy golf cart, and I don't remember what brand it is, but it's all electric. It's kind of lifted. It's like a 6-person. It's got like super nice leather seats with like the Kingdom logos on them and all that, and it's got a stereo, and it does like 40 miles an hour. It is insane fast. I've been able to drive it before, and it is crazy fast. It's just wild. It's got like digital readouts for the batteries and speed and all this stuff. I mean, it's like this crazy golf cart. It unfortunately was broken. We couldn't use it. I was bummed. I was hoping to get to drive it, but didn't get to. So we just walked, which was fine. It's literally across the street. So walked across the street, and I was walking. As we walked in, you walk in, you go to the left, and there's a locker room where they had each of the guys' names in a locker, had their bags in there for them, all that. And I walked out onto the range with the guy Kyle, who was one of the members. He'd never been there before. Like most people, have seen photos of it, seen little videos from Trotty and those guys doing stuff there at the Kingdom. And to see his eyes just like the size of dinner plates as you walk through the one hitting bay, which had like 25 Stealth 2 staff bags in there full of clubs. But you walk through there and you step out onto the grass, and I mean, it's perfectly manicured fairway from this, from the sidewalk right there which is literally there's a garage door, a sidewalk, and then it's just perfectly manicured fairway grass the rest of the way. And walking out into the where the tents were, they had little, the little sign set up with their names on them and everything, and each guy had a fitter, and but just walking out there and seeing his face and just going, holy crap, like just an absolute shock. And same thing with the other three guys as they kind of came out. But it was just cool to see, because I remember the first time I ever went to the Kingdom and stepping out that door and just being blown away by probably one of the most beautiful driving ranges I've ever seen. To see these guys get to witness that was really, really cool. And it's really fun to see somebody else just geek out over something like an amazing driving range. And like I said, Kyle's face was just like, holy crap, like this is unbelievable. And then, he went in and grabbed grabbed his wedges and started kind of warming up. And the other guys kind of came out a little bit after. I think Clayton was the first guy to do his do a putter fitting. He gladly volunteered as soon as he kind of saw the putting area, and just says I'll do this first. It was but it was pretty cool to see these guys just really excited over a driving range. And like I said, I was the same way when I first saw it, and it's absolutely impressive. If you ever get to go, you'll see what I mean. It's like the nicest fairway you've ever hit off of, and there's 100 yards of it before you get to the tents where they do the fittings, and then it's just beautiful green, like a huge putting green and stuff on the left hand side. It's all kind of surrounded by, it's all surrounded by, it's in like a little valley, so it's all surrounded by kind of hills and stuff. It feels like you're away from everything, even though like the headquarters is right across the street. It just makes you kind of feel isolated. But it was pretty cool. And then, like I said, watch these guys start to get fit. Kyle hit the ball extremely well. His fitting was pretty cool. It was interesting to see. It was kind of going through and seeing guys like Kyle, watching him hit balls, hitting his gamer, which was a TSI 3, and he hit it. He bombed it. He was like a guy who carried it like 295, 299, and then but his problem was he kind of hit down on it a little bit, and when he missed and hit it kind of low heel, and it hit a little spinny fade, and it went nowhere. He'd lose 30 to 40 yards on that thing. It would just balloon up in the air, fall to the right, and it would go nowhere. And that was his miss. And he said, yeah, that's the shot that kind of kills me out there. And to see the biggest change of him hitting that same shot and watching it go, 20 yards further or whatever. It was substantially different. The spin rate was I think one of the shots I watched him hit, that miss, it was spun at like 3,800. And he, like I said, he hits down on the ball a little bit, so he's not a crazy low spin guy anyway, but it was like 3,800, almost 4,000 RPM. And to watch him hit kind of that same shot with, when he finally got kind of dialed into Stealth 2 Plus, and to see that shot spinning like 3,200 RPM or something like that. It was like substantially lower, and watching a flatter ball go out and just kind of play it's just kind of a regular fade. It was he was really impressed with the miss, and so was I. I was shocked at how much better that was for him. And that was the big story, I think, with Stealth 2, was watching these guys. And the same thing I found with with Callaway's new driver and all that. The spin control, the spin variation is like nothing. It's so crazy to see that you can kind of hit it high toe, you can hit it low heel, you can hit these shots, and where the spin would either jump up dramatically or would drop really fast because you hit it in certain places on the face. That just doesn't happen. Like if you center strike is say 2,500 RPM, and like the low heel jumps up and it's maybe 2,800, 29. It's like the variation of spin is just really, really low now with these heads and the way they've designed them. And, again, where people say, hey, well, they're maxed out. And then that's true. Dead center shots are limited by the USGA. And yes, those are going to, probably fly pretty similar to some older drivers if you hit it dead center every single time. Spin has kind of changed a little bit, from depending on how old you go in a driver, but either way. But like I said, the variation of spin on mishits is kind of shocking this year. I know, last year I think it was stability was the big thing of, even the player, tour inspired drivers would kind of really stay on line really well when you missed it. These, I think it's a combination of it's got stability and this spin variation is way down. So it's just kind of crazy to see. But that was kind of something that, seeing him hit it. And then each one of these guys, it was just, seeing them, see improvements on there. Now, like the guy Sean, he had come on and said, he's like, I've never been fit. I've never done a fitting for any of the clubs in my bag. I just kind of go with, my self-fitting and what's worked. So seeing a guy like that who actually gets a fitting, gets to see kind of where he should be and where his numbers were and all that. And his thing was, he doesn't play. He's like most of us. He's got, a family. He's got a job. He doesn't get to practice much. And, his game used to be a lot better than it was. And now he tends to miss the ball a little bit more. And the handicap's gone up a little bit. And, looking for stuff that is just easier and more playable for everyday rounds. And, for a guy like that, when you're seeing somebody who's, tightening dispersion and things like that, it's pretty cool to see. And, going into irons and even wedges they're hitting out in the range. I mean, just kind of seeing those aha moments where I think it was, seeing some of the guys, they'd hit something and just go, whoop, there it is, yep, there it is. And it would just be, kind of a cool thing. I think, Clayton with the 3-wood, he was messing around with that Stealth Plus and kind of moving that movable weight around on the sole. And I think they pushed it forward a little bit, and it was like, just fell into that perfect, spin and launch combination, and he was, basically in love with that thing. So it was just really cool. And then even guys like Craig, who kind of even, as he was hitting balls, like little swing tips would come in here and there, and you could see him all of a sudden down there like doing a little drill, like, to kind of help with the swing, and then, hitting a few balls after that. And it was just really cool to see these guys, get fit and go through the experience and get to, hit balls on a range where you're hitting TP5s and TP5Xs, depending on what you want to hit. There's no balls with no dimples. There's none of that. It's perfect grass. It was really cool to see. And then basically after that, went out, had dinner. Next day, got to sleep in a little bit, which was nice. And then it was Tuesday, was a little weather-wise a little rough. Went out to the farms. In what is this, like Rancho something? I don't remember the city or the town or whatever that we went to, but the farms, beautiful, unbelievably beautiful. But the rain was a little struggle, so we got like 8 holes in before it started really pouring. Like throughout the morning when we got out there, it would start to sprinkle for a minute or two, and then it would stop, and then it would sprinkle again for a minute or two, and then it would stop. It was nothing big. I think on like hole 4, it kind of came down a little harder for like 2 minutes while we were like on the tee box on a par 3. I think it was like 4 or 5. That it sort of came down a little harder, and Craig and I were kind of like jumping into the bushes to try to get a little shelter from some of the rain. And then, like I said, we got to I think it was like the 7th or 8th green, and it was just pouring. So pulled the carts in, and then they unfortunately they just had to close the course. Like we couldn't even go out and play again. Like the greens and stuff like that had just little puddles or lakes on them. There was just water everywhere. So that was got it for the day, unfortunately. But those guys got to use their new drivers. TaylorMade built those up overnight. So when we showed up, my boy TaylorMade, my boy from TaylorMade, Mike Essie, came walking in with toys. He had all 4 drivers for these guys, and it was kind of cool that they got to go play with the clubs they got fit with. So I know one of the guys had Stealth Plus with a Tensei Orange AV. There was one guy who had a Stealth Plus with a Tensei Orange 1K. There was it a blue or TR blue? It was either Ventus blue or TR blue. Got fit into that, and then what did Craig have? I'm trying to remember what each guy had, and then Craig. I took a photo, so I have a photo, and then the guy Craig got put into. He was in a Ventus red, like 6X, so good amount of shafts, 2 Mitsubishis, 2 Fujikuras, but pretty nice setups. And we got to go out there, and every guy was pretty much like, well, I'm hitting driver pretty much on every hole. So I got a new driver. If it's not a par 3, I'm probably hitting driver. Like one of the holes, Clayton had his like Arcos map up, and he's like, well, the fairway runs out at like, 260. And I was like, well, it's not going to affect me. I probably can't hit it more than that. So I hit driver, but everybody basically just hit driver on every hole because why not? And everybody was hitting it pretty good. They were hitting it pretty darn good. Clayton hit a drive on. God, it's a downhill. I think it was hole like 3. It was yeah, something like 3. It was like a downhill par 5, and we didn't know there was water at like 360 yards or 300. I mean, crazy long. But it's all downhill, so he hit his drive. He was playing a TP5 picks, hit it. We never found it. We couldn't find it. And when he walked over to the water because it was cart path only. Walked over and he could see a TP5 pick sitting in the water, but I mean he couldn't verify that it was his number or anything. But I mean he pounded a ball down there that was just on the right side. So either he hit the hill and ran forever, but he ended up having a drop. But I mean again, hammering drives. I know I played with Craig and Clayton. Those guys were hitting it really well. Craig was really hitting driver well. He was just hitting like perfect little like baby fades. I was less warmed up. I didn't do a fitting, but I went out there with and I only had the shaft I had was a DI, was a Graphite Design DI7, and I don't play a lot of the DI, but it was the only shaft I had with a TaylorMade tip on it, so I brought it with me. And but hitting right on the range. I mean, Stealth 2, the first couple balls I hit, really, really good. A little flatter launch than my Stealth, my OG Stealth Plus. So Stealth 2, little flatter coming off. And I do have to say the mishits definitely carried a little farther on hole 1. Kind of hit a little, kind of like weak, low on the face shot. That kind of like had a little draw to it, and I hit it. I thought so poorly that it would basically just be onto the fairway. It was in the rough, but I was like, it probably just made it to the fairway. Like I'm like, it's probably just over the cart path on the hill. Like it didn't go anywhere, and drove up, and it was honestly like 50 yards farther than I thought it would be. I was actually on this little hill, but we were driving, and I think Clayton saw my ball, and he's like, oh no, it's up there, and shocked how far it went, because I thought for sure it would have been 50 yards behind where it was. Still wasn't, I mean, I still had a bad swing, but definitely a little more forgiving, I think, than my Stealth 2 Plus, or Stealth Plus. My Stealth Plus, Stealth 2 Plus is definitely a little more forgiving. And then the same thing on another one of the holes. Hit a little bit off the toe, had a nice little draw to it, and actually ended up catching like it was just rolled off the fairway. I caught just a hair of the rough outside, but still went, again, longer than I thought it would. I thought that ball would have been further up or further back, and when I did hit it well, I hammered one on like 6. I think it was like second to last hole that we actually played, not in rain, but pounded one down the left hand side. Only had like 92 yards into the hole. Dumped it in the bunker because that's just what I do. But so far, I mean, only playing like 8 holes in the Stealth 2 and having a little bit of range time. Like I said, for right now, I think it's definitely more forgiving. I think the misses definitely carry farther, and I think that the kind of that spin, the more controlled spin on it does make a difference. And then it was a little less left for me. Like my swing is my swing. I'm going to hit things left. I'm going to hit big snap hooks because that's just what my swing does. But even on the range, I hit a couple that I was like, yep, there it goes. And it stayed up in the air better and longer than Stealth did. So when I hit it, I was like, yep, that's there it is. And it was going left, and it was going hard left, but it had a little more height to it. And they're both 10.5 heads. I mean, same heads, had a little more height to it. And it definitely didn't go as hard left as Stealth did. For me, Stealth, when I really hit it left, I mean, it was like low hook left, went hard, went nowhere. And I felt like Stealth too on those couple swings in the range. I got away with it a little more. I mean, that ball still would have been tough to be in play at the Farms because the place is tight, but it definitely stayed up better than I thought it would. So right now, overall, I mean, my really low impression of Stealth 2 is that I'm pretty impressed with it. I think it worked out really well. I think it's definitely a little more forgiving. I think, the misses carry farther, and, people always say, is it worth it? I have a Stealth. Is it worth it to go get a Stealth 2? That's between you and your wallet and you and the performance of it, and what it's going to do for you. But so far, I've kind of seen some forgiveness gains in it. I like the sound and feel as well. The sound is just a hair more metallic. It's got just a touch more ting to it than Stealth does. I think it's actually a good. I mean, Stealth was pretty muted. I liked it. I think Stealth 2's got a touch more ting to it, and the face still has that soft feel that you get from the carbon face. So overall, I think it's a really good driver. I think if you're somebody who's in the market for a new driver, I think you definitely got to put it on your list to try. I haven't hit the standard or the HD yet, so it'll be exciting to hit those when I get them. But right now, I've only hit so many balls with the Stealth 2, so excited for that. But I know this show is kind of weird and wacky. But anyway, so then after we played our rounds of golf, waited for our shuttle to pick us up as we were all kind of damp. Our shuttle came, got us, took us back, and then went out, had a nice steak dinner on Tuesday night to kind of cap it all off, and then said goodbye. And thankfully, even with all the airline stuff going on Wednesday morning, everybody got out and everybody got home safe, and that was it. So pretty exciting. It was a fun trip. I always love going on these things because, like I said, it's so fun to see the reactions of these guys when they get to experience these type of things. So really cool. TaylorMade Kingdom, if you ever get a chance to go there, I know that they're not quite as open as they used to be in terms of not just letting people in. I know that it's not like that anymore, but if you ever get a chance to go, definitely go. Check it out. It's super cool. It's unbelievable. I mean, in terms of the experience of going there and hitting balls and getting fit and all that is just ridiculous. So big thank you to TaylorMade and those guys over there. They did an awesome job, and thank you to the 4 members there who, I mean, they were awesome guys. So they were super excited. They soaked it all in, and I think they all had a blast. So that's all I've got today. I know I did a little IG Q&A yesterday. Maybe I might try to do a little bit today. If you don't follow me on IG, please do at Club Junkie Pod. And unfortunately, that's all I got today. I know it's kind of a weird show in terms of what I talked about, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If not, I'm sorry. I'll be back better next week. And hopefully you have a good week. Have a great weekend. Play some golf if you can. And we'll talk next week.